Well, hello, Professor Jackson. This is our presentation, our final presentation on our podcast, Ben and Mara. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, before we get started, I think it's important that we just do a brief overview. And so, we're just going to talk about the pre-production, the production of this podcast, everything that went into that, the post-production, and the metrics. So, to pre-production, the name of our podcast is Real Time with Ben and Mara, or in parentheses, capital B, lowercase m. And we made it this way. We really wanted to have the capital B, lowercase m, because that, for anyone who's musical, they know that's also B minor. And because this podcast was going to be talking about music, we wanted to include that little fun aspect in there as well. That's something that Mara actually came up with. I thought it was pretty smart. I didn't get it at first, but yeah, it was pretty cool. So the genre of our podcast, so it would be TV and film, and the description of our podcast will be, the description that we have posted was, in this podcast, we will be examining the musical content of our favorite movie, TV shows, and cartoon theme songs. All right, so moving on to our next slide of pre-production, how did we arrive at what this podcast became? So essentially, we just decided on a subject area that we both had a passion for. We both watch Netflix, Disney Plus, and around this time, when we were trying to figure out what podcast we wanted to do, like the subject, um, Disney Plus was a thing. I think like a month or two before, so we did a lot of Disney shows on this thing, and I think a lot of that had to do with Disney Plus coming out and us watching a lot of that. In my opinion, I know I watched That So Raven. That was one of the first ones we did. I watched that one in its entirety within like a week or two, because that's one of the nostalgic shows that I love watching. So then our target market was TV and movie enthusiasts, particularly those who have a passion for music. These are people who like to be analytical, people that not only like to break down um, the lyrical content, but also the musical content as well, like what it made us feel. And I think that's something that made our podcast a little bit unique, and I think it made it better, in my opinion. And then why did we produce the podcast that we did? We attempted to provide thoughtful critiques on popular theme songs that we all know and love. Again, not just listening to and like, oh wow, I like that, or whatever, this brought back good feelings, but we really honestly wanted to go in deeper and really, I try to give fun facts on how long the seasons will go for particular shows, and we just really try to go in deep with the song, not just surfacey level, like, oh, that sounded cool, oh, the lyric is cool. We really try to look for hidden meanings and be a little more thoughtful about these shows that a lot of us grew up watching, and to take just like look at it, take a microscope to the song and really look at, all right, we see the song here, but what makes the song? Like, what are the different parts of the song? How did this make the song so successful or so popular, and stuff like that? How did it add to the TV show?
Hi, so I'm gonna go over the production side of things. So how Ben and I recorded our podcast, we used a GarageBand. When we started recording, we were still on campus before Corona, and we used my computer to record stuff. He had an interface, so we used that, and then the microphones provided for us in the podcast room. And yeah, so then whenever um, after Corona was full blown, we both used our own laptops, recorded on GarageBand, and we both had our own microphones and interface. Thank God, because if we didn't, I don't know how we would have done this. But yeah, so in the first week of production and producing and stuff, we did run into a little bit of trouble. We were trying to figure out how the setup worked in the podcast room, and it wasn't clicking in either of our brains. So we had to call a few people and like see if they could help us sort it out and like show us exactly how to work it. But then some people, they either couldn't figure it out either, or they were busy. So we figured out a different way. But as you can tell, it worked out. And then for like how we split it up for the production for each area of the production, Ben did the like script and stuff that we had, or like outline. I guess we didn't really have a script. We just kind of said whatever, as you can tell. But yeah, Ben did the outline for everything, and then I did like the mixing and producing part of it. I would put both of our tracks or soundtracks like together and stuff, and then put the theme song at the beginning, at the end, and download the theme songs and put them in the middle of them as well. So that was pretty fun. And then production schedule. Normally we chose to meet on Thursdays because those were our least busiest days, I guess. Thursdays in the evening. And it would usually take us anywhere from like a half hour to an hour and a half, depending on what the song was and how long we both spoke about it. But yeah.
So moving on to post-production, one of the questions is, did the podcast turn out how we anticipated? In my opinion, I think it turned out even better than what we anticipated. I just thought, this is going to be one thing we have to do to fulfill a credit. But at the end of the day, when we got together and we started talking about these shows, like, I think our personalities really came out a lot when we were talking, and just how we thought about things. Like, Mara and I have different mental processes sometimes, and that's all right. That's just humans. We all have different ways we think about things. So it was great hearing her view, and I thought it was pretty cool because some of my view contrasted hers, or her view contrasted mine, and I think it was really good give and take. I really loved working with Mara. But yeah, I think it definitely turned out better than anticipated, because it was like Mara and I, we weren't working, we were having a conversation with each other, and it was all real. We tried to script it the first time, the very first episode, but then we realized we can talk and talk and talk and talk, and we did. Everything we said on the podcast, it was real. It wasn't scripted. It was something that it was just us. And then, what are some notable things we learned from the production process? Well, I know we both learned that it is much easier to do a podcast when we are both together in person. We're very thankful for the opportunity that we have being separated. We could still do podcasts from home. I know I was lucky and blessed because I use this microphone here. I got this microphone for my brother for Christmas. He ended up not using it at all. I set it up for this podcast. I don't think the podcast audio would have been as good from my end, because I wouldn't have had a professional like mic. And Mara does. She has her own whole studio. But I was, thankful for the opportunity to see how we can still put a podcast together even though we're hundreds of miles apart. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I guess for me personally, a notable thing that I learned is that just really how to, like, I'm an introvert, so I really learned how to talk in this. And just being able to vocalize and share my own opinion, it was awesome. It gave me sort of a voice. So that's something that I learned. Yeah.
Hey, back again. So this slide, as you can see, is like the metrics of everything, and one of them shows like the podcast performance as a whole, like when it was played on around which times and stuff. As you can see, like the dates are at the bottom there. And then the other one shows like which episodes were listened to the most. And we didn't. For me personally, I don't think Ben really did it either. We didn't really like publicize our thing. I don't think it's because we weren't proud of it. I think it's just because it was so like it was fun, but it was like so silly that we were like, yeah, we'll just keep it to ourselves, kind of thing. And you obviously. But yeah, so we didn't really publicize it at all. Like, some of our friends kind of listened to it, or some of my friends. But that was about it. We didn't really have any steady listeners other than you, since this was actually for a class. So there isn't like too much information with like the analytics and charts and stuff like that. But yeah, so this is pretty much it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed our what is this presentation? I hope you enjoyed our presentation. I know I had fun in this class. Ben was a great partner. So yeah, I really enjoyed it.